law. Violent clashes breaking out between protesters and troops. Helicopters flying over Parliament. After the president's surprise TV announcement declaring martial law, accusing his political foes of sympathizing with North Korea. But hours later, the president backing down. Our live report just ahead. Also tonight, another massive pileup involving cars and semis as lake-effect snow pounds the Great Lakes and Northeast. A train slamming a semi-truck in the slush, and the new snow threat after several feet have already fallen. President-elect Trump agreeing to allow the FBI to begin background checks on his staff picks. Also, the growing skepticism among Republicans over whether Mr. Trump's pick for defense secretary will be confirmed. And our new reporting, the concerns among his former Fox News colleagues about his alleged alcohol use. New details about that stowaway who boarded a flight from JFK to Paris. How she was allegedly able to sneak past critical parts of security at one of the country's busiest airports. Our underwater journey with the endangered otters guarding the so-called redwoods of the sea. And the one-of-a-kind pharmacy that dispenses prescriptions for the soul.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening and welcome. U.S. officials tonight watching with great concern as a serious crisis rapidly engulfs one of America's most loyal and strategically important allies. Tonight, South Korea on edge. Its National Assembly surrounded by protesters where there were clashes with security forces after the country's president declared martial law and mobilized the military, citing the threat of anti-state forces and threats from neighboring North Korea. Opposition lawmakers moving quickly to lift martial law, but not before the government announced a ban of all political activities and declared media and publications would be subject to government control. The crisis catching the U.S. with 30,000 troops stationed there off guard. NBC's Beijing-based correspondent Janice Mackey-Frayer joins us now. Janice, the president's move really came as a surprise.
That's right, Lester. After an extraordinary night, President Yoon is now facing calls for his impeachment, while the White House just said it's relieved he's reversed course after declaring martial law. Tonight, dramatic scenes of chaos in South Korea, one of America's key allies. Protesters scuffled with police outside the National Assembly building, some windows shattered, and helicopters flying overhead. After President Yoon Suk-yeol declared martial law, aimed at stopping what he called North Korean anti-state forces in the government. Only hours later being forced to revoke it when opposition lawmakers held an emergency vote to defy the president and scrap martial law, some of them scaling fences to get back inside for it. Outside the parliament, protesters pushing against armored vehicles, while inside, furniture piled high to keep soldiers out. The U.S. announced they had no warning of Yoon's plan in a country where nearly 30,000 American troops are stationed.
We are watching the recent developments in the ROK with grave concern. We are seeking to engage with our Republic of Korea counterparts at every level.
In an interview with Lester last year, President Yoon warned the North Korean threat was growing.
Do you think that the U.S. is paying enough attention to deterring a North Korean attack on the South?
Yes, definitely. Since my inauguration, we're continuing our consultations with the United States.
Yoon's future now uncertain. Janice Mackey-Frayer, NBC News.
Here at home, millions are still feeling the effects of that lake-effect snowstorm, especially on snow-covered roads. Now another storm is in the forecast. Erin McLaughlin is in Erie, Pennsylvania for us.
Tonight, a whiteout in Erie, Pennsylvania, and dangerous driving conditions. I-90 was shut down when low visibility caused 4 trucks to slide off the road, according to county officials. There were no reported injuries. Not far away, there was a close call yesterday. New video captures the harrowing moment a trailer truck became stuck in the slush over train tracks.
Oh, he's not going to stop. Oh, man.
A freight train, unable to stop, plows into the side of the truck.
Holy hell.
Police say thankfully the driver jumped out prior to impact and is fine. Tonight from New York to Pennsylvania, There's been so much snow, roofs are collapsing under the weight of it. In Erie this morning,
it was a loud bam. It scared my sister.
The owners of Sparkle Clean Car Care tell NBC News they were supposed to be at work right around the time this happened. Cadence Denning lives across the street. You have a lot of snow on your roof.
Yeah.
Are you worried?
Yeah, I am. It started to get us worried.
Since last Friday, the region has been measuring snowfall in feet, not inches. The plow drivers of Pennsylvania say they've had enough. When you see snow like this, what goes through your mind?
More work. You might have to be out all night. There's snow coming down like this.
Tonight, up and down the East Coast, millions are feeling the freeze with temps 10 to 20 degrees below average. Here in the Northeast, they're bracing for a clipper storm set to strike on Thursday. Meanwhile, as you can see, Lester, the snow's still coming down.
Okay, Aaron, thank you. Tonight, there are new warning signs that Pete Hegseth's path to nomination as defense secretary may be in jeopardy with Senate Republicans. It comes as we have new reporting involving allegations about his drinking from former colleagues at Fox News. Claims the Trump transition team is strongly denying tonight. Garrett Hake has late details.
Tonight, President-elect Trump's pick for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth facing growing skepticism of his chances for confirmation amid damaging news reports.
Do you need to address the questions about your character that have been raised in some of these reports?
And now, 10 current and former Fox News employees who worked with Hegseth, who hosted one of the network's morning shows, telling NBC News that he drank in ways that concern them. Two saying that on more than a dozen occasions they smelled alcohol on him before he went on air. Quote, everyone would be talking about it behind the scenes, one of the former Fox News employees said. He should not be Secretary of Defense, another former Fox News employee said. His drinking should be disqualifying. A Trump transition spokesperson calling the allegations disgusting, completely unfounded, and false. An attorney for Hegseth referring us to the transition statement. Fox News did not respond.
Mr. Hegseth, so many of these stories about you have involved alcohol. Do you have a drinking problem, sir?
Now NBC News has learned as many as 6 GOP senators are not comfortable supporting Hegseth's nomination, according to multiple Republicans with direct knowledge of the nomination process. Hegseth can only afford to lose the support of 3 Republicans if all Democrats vote no.
The articles I've read, yep, some of them are concerning. I don't know if it's true or not, but he'll go through the process. He'll be asked about it. We'll see what happens.
There are questions that some members have, and we're going to be working for an answer.
Are you among the members who have questions?
Well, I'm looking to be supportive.
But no Republican senator has publicly said they will oppose Hegseth, who's also a decorated combat veteran.
I think they've got a really good shot of getting them all through.
Meanwhile, late tonight, another Trump pick abruptly pulled his name from consideration. Chad Chronister, the sheriff in Hillsborough County, Florida, withdrawing his selection for administrator of the Drug Enforcement Administration, posting, quote, over the past several days, as the gravity of this very important responsibility set in, I've concluded that I must respectfully withdraw from consideration.
And Garrett, the Trump team has also now reached an agreement with the Justice Department for an FBI background check of nominees.
Yeah, that's right, Lester. It's called a Memorandum of Understanding, and some Republican senators have been urging the Trump transition to sign, worried that not getting these checks done in a timely fashion could delay confirmations or lead to unwelcome surprises just before hearings get started. Lester?
Garrett Hake, thank you. Also tonight, we're learning more about that stowaway and how she was able to get through airport security in New York and board a flight to Paris without a ticket. Stephanie Gosk reports.
Tonight, new details about the woman who allegedly snuck on board a Delta flight to Paris from New York's JFK airport over the holiday.
That boarding pass is a completely different name.
Passenger Jairam Duku shot this video that he says shows her being questioned when the flight landed.
She ended up pulling out this pass and gave it to the flight attendant, and it was just not a boarding pass.
French border police say she did not have valid travel documents and was detained. A source familiar with the matter says Saturday night she was put on a return flight to JFK.
Please help him! United States broke my leg!
Gary Treichler was on that plane with his family.
Something triggered her to start being uncooperative.
He says she appeared to be Russian and middle-aged.
She was then escorted off the plane.
Days before, the woman managed to elude TSA ID checks and gate agents. A source with knowledge of the situation tells NBC News she first used a lane reserved for flight crews and then skirted the standard ID check. But she went through a body scanner and voluntarily removed 2 bottles of water that officers discovered in her bags, eventually sneaking on to the Paris flight where she was ultimately discovered.
We're just waiting for the police to come on board. They may be here now.
The TSA says she was not carrying any prohibited items and did not pose a security threat. Jerry Phelan is a former TSA director.
How surprised are you that she was able to actually end up on that plane without being stopped?
Yeah, I'm very shocked. We didn't catch her even boarding on the aircraft itself. And how that happened, it's beyond my comprehension, frankly.
And Stephanie, this story has us all thinking about the numerous checkpoints to get on an international flight. What is Delta Airlines saying about this?
Well, the airline won't comment on the gate check, but it is doing an exhaustive investigation. Meanwhile, multiple authorities, Lester, are looking at footage trying to determine what happened that day.
Okay, Stephanie, thank you. Let's turn to what officials are describing as a sweeping hacking operation connected to China and impacting nearly all the major U.S. phone companies Americans use. Hallie Jackson explains.
New details tonight on what's being called one of the worst cyber hacks in history, with federal officials revealing they've been investigating China for months after hackers compromised the networks of multiple U.S. communications companies and may still be lurking in the systems of at least some of them. FBI and federal cybersecurity officials say these Chinese government-affiliated hackers managed to steal records, intercept some voice calls, even penetrate the wiretap system used by the Justice Department to investigate people suspected of crimes or spying. Officials say most of the private communication intercepted by the hackers involved people affiliated with the government or politics, but the access to companies like Verizon and AT&T means the communications of nearly every American are vulnerable. And now a new warning to be careful what you communicate and use encrypted communication when you can. Think Signal, WhatsApp, or iMessage. Those blue text bubbles a sign what you're saying is protected. Is a warning like that overkill in your view?
I think it's a good standard hygiene practice for operating in today's modern technology environment. You have to be really mindful again about the technology you're using, how it's secured.
The culprits, officials say, a group called Salt Typhoon, the same collective allegedly behind the hacks of the Trump and Harris campaigns before the election. Officials even now still trying to understand the scale, scope, and timeline of this hack.
We have to understand that the digital connectivity that we all rely on, that we benefit from economically, can also be used against us.
For its part, China has denied past hacking accusations and last month accused the U.S. of trying to spread disinformation, despite what U.S. officials see as a clear connection. Lester?
Hallie Jackson, thanks. In 60 seconds, guarding against the Grinches who steal holiday packages, a problem that's only getting worse. How to protect deliveries after they land at your door, coming up. After online shopping broke records over the holiday weekend, a warning tonight about a growing problem. Thieves stealing those gifts after they're delivered to your doorstep. Christine Romans now on how to protect your packages.
Porch pirates stealing your deliveries right at your front door. Last year, 120.5 million packages swiped, estimates the security firm Safewise. Professor Ben Stickle studies this growing crime.
The volume of things that we're having delivered and the value of those things has just skyrocketed, and with that comes more theft.
Often, retailers will simply replace or refund a stolen item, but they don't have to.
And at what point is the consumer responsible for that package?
So who's responsible for package theft really changes a lot. In most states, once a package is delivered by a carrier on your property, it's considered yours.
This holiday season, a scramble to stay ahead. Amazon Prime members can have their packages delivered into their garage or a locker. UPS using AI to reroute at-risk shipments to a UPS store. And doorbell cameras, never more popular. But those cameras don't always stop thieves, and according to one survey, 25% of people who had a package stolen received no refund. Now, new types of insurance will cover stolen packages, like Porch Pals. For $120 a year, it covers up to 3 claims, $2,000 total. Its founder, James Moore.
Just order away, and then when it's delivered to your porch, don't worry about it being stolen. Don't worry about any of that. If it gets stolen, we just replace the value of that package.
And experts say to keep packages safe, track your delivery, require a signature, or pick up from the store, rather than pile up the boxes on the porch. Christine Romans, NBC News, New York.
Up next, they're cute, they're furry, and they're helping save the ocean. Our voyage into the depths of the Pacific with the sea otters to save the forests of the sea. We're back now with our extraordinary underwater journey with nature's guardians of the sea who protect one of our nation's coastal treasures. Gotti Schwartz now with more in our series Climate Challenge.
On a morning like this, it is hard to remember that there is an ecological disaster that's happening off the coast of California. In order to show you how bad it's gotten, we're going to take you underneath down here to show you how good it's supposed to be. But before we could get in the water, just over there, family of sea otters, we were surrounded by visitors. This area is teeming with life. Once the coast was clear, we geared up and descended into one of the most protected natural kelp forests on the West Coast.
It feels so much like we're on a different planet. It's like being in a forest on land.
Dr. Josh Smith has been studying this fragile ecosystem for years.
Everywhere we look, so majestic down here.
The kelp can grow up to 100 feet tall.
Look at how tall this kelp is.
And suddenly, we were making new friends.
Absolutely incredible. Just incredible.
But here, the real stars of the ecosystem are the elusive sea otters. A recent study by the Monterey Bay Aquarium reviewing historical records found that those otters have been a cornerstone to protecting the environment. And in the Central Coast, they've been working overtime to try to protect the kelp forests from an invasion of purple sea urchins brought on by warming waters and a die-off of sea stars.
Sea otters are really important predators in the ecosystem.
They're like the game wardens of the forest.
Yeah, they do tend to keep sea urchin populations under control.
But those sea urchin feasting otters are in danger. We went under in a different spot to see just how much damage those purple urchins were causing.
It looks like we're in a desert, and you've got these purple polka dots all across the seafloor here. That's right. The reef is covered with purple sea urchins. They're these baseball-sized, tiny animals that like to eat kelp, but there's no kelp here. They've eaten it all.
The crisis reaching a boiling point 10 years ago when a major marine heat wave ravaged the kelp.
And they completely transformed the reef surface here to what we call a sea urchin barren.
It's kind of depressing to see the barren like that. How much of the kelp here in California has been lost?
Right here in Monterey Bay, we've lost about 70% or so of kelp forests.
At Monterey Bay Aquarium,
hi otters!
They've been researching ways to tackle the problem for years, even taking us along on sea otter rehabilitation missions. All right! For now, preserved behind glass and protected in the bay, as biologists continue to search for solutions in the sea. Gotti Schwartz, NBC News, Monterey, California.
What an amazing journey that was. Up next, making people feel better with a prescription for poetry. For some, it's just the right remedy. Good news is next. There is good news tonight about a pharmacy like you've never seen before, where the prescriptions take a little poetic license. Here's Kelly Kobiea.
Hidden in the heart of busy London, a pharmacy dispensing a different kind of medicine. A balm for broken hearts, Christmas spirit and joy.
So in each of the pill capsules that you can see, there are extracts from poems.
That's right, poems.
By turns, a stone is grown in you, and then a star. Oh, it just gave me chills. I know.
Deb Alma calls herself a poetry pharmacist.
We'll lie in it and be it. That's why so freely we call it our own.
Using words to soothe the soul.
I was working with people with dementia, actually, using poetry to assist communication, and saw how poetry could change someone's mood.
In her first shop, an old ambulance, she decided to take poetry to people who didn't normally read it.
People just need some help to find the poem that they will respond to.
Now, at her poetry pharmacy in London, hand-rolling little strips of wonder by the thousands.
What I want is a room up there, and you in it.
Her place of healing, a social media sensation.
The blissful clouds of summer.
What kind of a mood does it put you in to come here?
quite cathartic. It's like a warm hug, innit?
And there's a little something to satisfy our darker sides, too.
The more you suffer, the better I feel.
Oh, gosh. From imagination to hope and healing.
What I heard was my whole self saying and singing what it knew. I can.
Happiness in a bottle. Kelly Kobiella, NBC News, London.
That's Nightly News for this Tuesday. Thank you for watching. I'm Lester Holt. Please take care of yourself and each other. Good night.